On the periphery, there's a proverbial tendency to want to kind of move. Welcome to that instinct and to others, like the one to push the record button on a personal audio device and not have anything to say. That's always fun. Dudes, what is shaking out there in the jungle? You're in the jungle now, baby. You gotta live. That's what I'm gonna say to the people I torture. Supersonic torture on the move. What is up? Pacing in my living room. That's what's up with me. I'm not working this week. That's kind of nice. Had a good little run though. Had a streak of work. I don't know, just like thinking about life, shit, things. Thinking about personal projects, thinking about a personal project that I've been developing for, years, almost like 7 years maybe. Bomp's Garage. I wrote a whole season of a TV show. And it's about a guy named Bomp, probably in his 60s. Should have retired maybe, but he hasn't. And he's an artist. Does fine art in his garage. When we first meet Bomp, we see a guy who's kind of like a Muppet. Sort of Muppet technology, design. Lots of fabrics and felt and fun colors. And he contrasts nicely against sort of a drab cardboard world. And then behind all that are these live action, these skies. I've been photographing the skies in Los Angeles for years. I have a big library of skies. I would project back there. So this is a stop motion TV show. These episodes are really short. They're like 2 to 4 minutes. And it follows the adventures of Bomp, who's this chain-smoking kind of grouch character. That's always fun, right? You think he's an artist, but about 3 episodes in, you realize that's just a cover story for something else. He's kind of a fixer for this intelligence outfit that, contracts with the Pentagon to run psychological operations and weather manipulation on unsuspecting citizens of the United States in the late 1990s. Bomp is an asset in the field. The war on humanity, the secret psychological war on humanity. And we don't realize any of those details until he is activated. He's a passive asset living a humdrum private life as an artist, and then when he's activated and operational, we realize he's kind of like this fixer, this kind of like Harvey Keitel character that goes in and handles business. I love writing adult situational character pieces. A lot of the show is scenes between two characters that, in kind of a Glengarry Glen Ross sort of, I don't know if you've seen the movie Sideways, but you know how like Sideways is just like a scene. It's just a scene, two characters chit-chatting. And all the quirky character traits come out. All the situational sort of stuff comes out in these little dialogues-driven scenes. And it kind of feels a little bit noir. But the subject matter is very adult, quirky, fun, kind of queer little things. The scenes appeal to sort of almost like a Better Call Saul kind of sensibility. But that is contrasted with this cartoony aesthetic. It's like you don't really expect... If you've seen my short film, Fred, you know what I'm talking about. I call it, Breaking Bad meets the Muppets. It's kind of a little realm I like to live in. And I see this show as being that contrast between sort of a goofy aesthetic and some mature subject matter. And at times very immature, must admit. But it's short episodes, quick and dirty little shows. The whole season's about, 15, 16 episode season arc. Follows Bomp into the tragic heart of darkness. And the season ends with a very kind of cliffhanger. Give me more tragic kind of plunge into the abyss. And the season introduces all the main characters that will go on to develop hopefully season 2. I love it. I wrote exactly the kind of show I want to see, and I think it has a lot of heart. It's very near and dear to me. But it's funny because I'm kind of stuck. I don't really respect this industry as far as like the above the line machinations of Hollywood. I have a hard time asking for handouts. This was going to be a Kickstarter, a GoFundMe type thing, but I wrote it, I developed it, and then COVID happened, and I just didn't really feel up to the task of asking people for money. But I see this being shot in a small little cadre of fucking badasses. Like 3-4 great animators. A little cadre of amazing artists that are handy with a snap knife and hot glue. It's all cardboard. And then just a genius fabrication team. The puppet is, tactile, recognizable textures. It's a lot of fabric, needle felt kind of flavors. Very Muppety, where you see the down and dirty seams of everything. It's not this clean, rapid prototyped silicone bullshit. It's very like this is a moving doll that's lived a few hundred lives. And Bomp literally has. He's constantly in that sort of witness relocation type. He's the victim of sort of an abusive system that's wiped his memories and taken advantage of him and given him many lives and many identities and many names and many cities. And he's proved himself as a hardworking, loyal, but he goes rogue. And he has some tricks up his sleeves, and he has some friends on the outside. But the whole show loosely kind of circles the drain. I would say it's kind of loosely about chemtrails. That's kind of the MacGuffin at the heart of the whole narrative. Is this idea? It's not specifically about chemtrails, but I love this idea of chemtrails because I call it modern mythology. You know, we all grew up learning about mythology. You know, the ancient Greeks and all these like mythological, but we're ignoring the mythology that we are currently living in. It's chemtrails is one of those topics that, you know, it nobody really knows what a chemtrail is. Everybody thinks they know what it is, and it makes people uncomfortable to talk about. And whether you buy into the conspiracy that chemtrails are some sort of weather modification program or psychological operation is irregardless. I picked it because it makes me laugh. To have something overtly in our face that elicits that kind of response from just everyday citizens. So, Bomp works for this outfit that has been kind of doing geoengineering and upper atmosphere kind of psychological and weather modification experiments on unsuspecting people. And but we don't really find that out until 3, 4, 5 episodes in. And I don't know. Bartek Prushevich did some early design work for the characters. Jim Randall made a really dope armature for me. I've shot some tests. This guy Sylvan wrote a piece of music. So nice. Actually, a couple pieces. So it's really been developed. I've got a lot of artwork. I've got Tommy Kaiser did some rough sculpts in 3D. Melissa Picard took a stab at a couple costumes, and the puppet's not totally done, but it's kind of a work in progress. I don't really have a Bible, but I do have this. Like I said, I have this 35-page script that is the entire season, and I'm really happy with it. I was working with Kirk Scott, who is the voice of the main character. And, Bomp's got this relationship with Dillis. He's got a handler named Blanche. And he is discovering that there's a sinister force at the heart of these programs. And it's sort of how he handles this sort of abusive system that he finds himself in. The performance style and kind of like the nuance acting that I was going to aim for was, I sort of see Ethan Merrick as being a great lead animator. I just love his animation. I love his character animation. He gets, he understands good rigging. He understands great cinematography. He understands how to talk to a crew. I think he'd be great. I love Savelin, Eric Urban. Sarah DeGotemeyer's awesome. Kelsey Stillmaker's a badass. There's some great animators down here in LA that would be just fantastic. There's so many wonderful artists. I see this as being small cameras, small lenses, very immersive, big, wide, kind of, but gritty photography. I wouldn't even mind shooting at Super 8. I like Super 8 because you can see the grain. Like the Super 8's so lo-fi that it has a lot of character. And I think it would contrast nice with sort of this intimate world. Feels like film would do it justice. Maybe an Ektachrome or some kind of rich color. I guess that would be kind of expensive. But, I like decisive choices like that because they kind of lock you into this fidelity, and I also love the square aspect ratio. Originally, the working title for this was 1x1 because I wrote it stream of consciousness, and so I wrote the first episode, and then I wrote the next, and I was like, oh, this is 1x1. But then I thought of 1x1 as being like an aspect ratio. 1x1 is a square, and this thing kind of lives in a square. I feel like it. And square aspect ratios are weird because they kind of feel like a throwback, like maybe an aspect rate, like an old European standard from maybe the 40s or something. It's reminiscent, and it's also a lot like Super 8. And I talked to, what's his name, Charlie? This guy who's been like 3D printing lights and stuff down here, and I had like a little sit down. We talked about making our own Super 8 camera where it would be almost like a rack over camera, but the lens would be really tiny, like a Z lens or maybe a C-mount lens, like old Bolex lenses, and get original old glass that does fun stuff, like it's all kinds of specular lens flares and weird trippy fogs, and just get some of that gritty stuff in the lens, but also have it be a live feed out. So you rack to a little CCD chip, and then you rack back to the Super 8 cartridge. So you snap a frame, rack. I don't know. I'm looking at different technologies to actually shoot Super 8. I think it would give it a really unique aesthetic flavor. And I like small lenses with miniature sets because it just gives you this immersive kind of verite handheld, like you're in it. You're in, you could tuck a camera really like right behind a couch or some over the shoulder, and it feels appropriate to that scale. Anyway, I kind of just talking through this. I don't know if it's appropriate to be. It's almost like an elevator pitch of a show development, but it's like, I don't know. I'm creatively stuck with it. Like there's so many things going for it. I think it's a wonderful story. I love the characters. I know exactly how I'd shoot it. But I don't know how to pitch shit, really, and get money. I mean, I do. And I have pitched things, and I have financed my own shit. But I'm in a weird place. I've been raising a kid. He's about 8. And I'm starting to kind of feel some more independence coming back. It's tough when you have a toddler or a little kid to do big, expensive kind of, vanity projects because it's really not about you. But Gus, my son, is kind of cooked. He's getting more independent, and it feels like I could take on bigger, more ambitious projects. So I'm just talking it out loud. You know me. I'm an open book. I'm pacing in my living room, just drinking my fake coffee, talking about Bomp's Garage. I don't really have anything beyond that, and I don't want to be like complaining or making excuses. I'm just saying what's on my mind on the moon.